Pixar, Elio just came out. You gave it. I mean, I've called it the worst movie Pixar has ever made. Elio, clearly made by less talented group of people at Pixar, and now it can be revealed. The movie was queer coded. You have the notes for this story, Alan. I'll bring it up from the Hollywood Reporter's Heat Vision column. I guess they spoke to the editor, and the America Ferrera left the project. Actress, she was the original voice of the aunt. The director changed, and erasure of queer themes. Hey, I wonder why Pixar executives were kind of a little skittish about gay themes in their movie for children about an 11-year-old. Alan, if you would read what's in this story.
Sure. Okay, so I'm just going over notes here. So the original Elio was originally directed by Adrian Molina, the co-director of Coco, and was envisioned as a queer-coded, emotionally rich sci-fi story. Elio,
pause for a second.
Yeah,
queer-coded means it's not blatantly gay. Right. It's just underneath the surface, and gay people will recognize that's a gay character. But if the audience is not paying attention, they can see the movie and be fine with it, I guess. I don't know. Please continue. And I know a lot about this. Okay. I want to talk about it.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I got to go back to the article here. So among the moments cited as favorite by those at the animation studio at the time include a sequence in which the titular boy, Elio, collected trash on the beach and turned it into homemade apparel that included a pink tank top. The movie's team would refer to Elio showing off to a hermit crab as his trashin' show. Let me see. It then mentions that Elio was initially portrayed as a queer-coded character, reflecting original director Adrian Molina's identity as an openly gay filmmaker. Other sources say that Molina did not intend the film to be a coming-out story, as the character is 11 years old. But either way, this characterization gradually faded away throughout the production process as Elio became more masculine following feedback from leadership. Gone were not only such direct examples for his passion for environmentalism and fashion, but also seen in Elio's bedroom with pictures suggesting a male crush. Hints at the trash fashion remains released in the film, with the boy wearing a cape decorated with discarded cutlery and soda can tabs, although without any explanation for the attire. And then it just goes into the downfall of the opening weekend, and also the fact that Pete Docter had taken Molina off the project and replaced him with the Turning Red co-directors. And so, to me, this was it falls in line with what happened with Inside Out 2, where Pete Docter just said, we're not having any gay themes. We're not going to have anything remotely gay coming out of Inside Out 2. And it appears that they tried to do it with this one to disastrous results. One is the highest grossing animated film ever, and the other is the worst disaster of Pixar.
The executives at Pixar tried to do their jobs as they are beholden to profits and their shareholders. They did their job. What they have not done is gotten the activists out of their company. They need to get rid of the activists. It might involve firing some people who aren't willing to be on team profits. Okay? And maybe the entire industry needs to look at this. I actually have no problem with the original version of this project, Elio, being as maybe even more gay. Remember years ago, you and I talked about Disney should just start a brand called Disney Sparkle. What is Disney Sparkle? Disney Sparkle is a sub-brand within Disney, and it's all gay. Gay cartoons, gay shows, gay dramas, gay sitcoms, gay movies. Do it all gay all the time. Disney Sparkle. But you scale the budget to that audience. And I think what people are finding
69.
That audience is a small fraction of the mainstream. And there's no problem making the original version of what Elio is, put it out, have a budget of under 10 million, make it direct to video or direct to VOD, and just do that. The problem is gay is not mainstream, as we've discovered this month with corporations not changing their logos to rainbows this month. You know, Pride 2025 is very different from a year ago and 2 years ago. And I have no problem with all. I've been going to Sundance and film festivals for years. I've seen some great gay themed films that appeal not only to gays, but everyone. But they're not really about that now. A lot of the gay content now is very agenda driven. Very agenda driven. And I have no problem with it existing within the framework of what the market is willing to pay. What is the overall market? And when they did a test screening of this in Arizona, and they asked the audience that saw it, they said they liked the movie. Would you pay to see this in a theater? Not one person raised their hand. The whole fashion show, they sort of coded that Elio was gay. He wore a pink tank top for his trashing show. He had a poster of a boy he might like on his wall. I mean, effectively, one of the story arcs of a character in Elio as it's complete is kind of a trance story in a way. He has to change into that suit.
Yeah.
It's weird. There's a lot of stuff that still exists that is underneath the surface. But what Pixar needs to do is spin off a division, and you might get a smaller budget. And really, the content, the intended audience needs to be reflected with what the marketplace actually is. And I think that people are overestimating the desire for gay content in the marketplace. It's just a fact. And it comes from me, who I grew up watching Rocky Horror Picture Show in high school, went to see that. That's not gay coded. That's really gay. I love seeing every John Waters movie when it came out, but John Waters even was smart enough to go, this movie's not just for gay people. It's also, you like exploitation movies and violence and comedy. John Waters, I think, is probably the most mainstream gay filmmaker that's very prolific. And I love John Waters to this day. He's an inspiration. But the current crop of gay filmmakers and creatives are activists, they're not trying to make something that has a message that can appeal broadly. I mean, look at the movie Hairspray. That might have some gay stuff in it. Very popular film. Yeah. Also Broadway.
Wide reaching. Yeah,
look, I'm done with my rant, but I'd love to hear what you have to say, and then we'll go to comment.
Yeah.
It's
interesting because this whole idea of Disney Sparkle, Disney actually has something similar. It's called Disney Onyx. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No, I have not.
But it's Disney's attempt at creating black content, black films, TV shows, and so on. And they've done about a half a dozen projects. You probably haven't seen them because, well, they're black projects and they're probably meant for a black audience. But that's, it's not like that they didn't take an idea like Disney Sparkle and say that this is, we're just being crazy by mentioning it. No, they've done it with Disney Onyx. Here's the other thing about this story. And as it relates to the D-Files that we brought out last year, I'll read a paragraph here. From one of the production, from an assistant editor. I was deeply saddened and aggrieved by the changes that were made. As she mentions in the LGBT group PIXAR'S, which is their internal internal server. Although she praises Seraphin and she as filmmakers, she notes that a number of creatives working on the film stepped down after the director shared their first cut of the movie. The exodus of talent after that cut was really indicative of how unhappy a lot of people were that they had changed and destroyed this beautiful work. Another Pixar source disputes that people stepped down because it was a response to Molina's departure. Changes to Elio were clear from one former Pixar artist who worked on the film and asked to remain anonymous. It was pretty clear through the production that the first version of the film that the studio leaders saw were constantly sanding down those moments in a film that alluded to Elio's sexuality of being queer. The reason I bring that up is, I mean, first of all, look at this picture here. So what they did with Elio was basically said, okay, let's get rid of the pink, make it green. But you could see that pretty much everything else felt like it stayed the same. In fact, when you look at all the aliens, I guess the best way to describe the aliens in this movie is Unicorn Parade.
Yes, Unicorn Parade. Oh my God.
Yeah, and what happened here was they, so the queer coding, it was so ingrained in this movie that even though you changed the main character and made him look more masculine, you couldn't escape the queer coding. And that's what ultimately led to, I believe, its downfall. Because, we've talked about it. It's not just the rule of thirds, but it was the character designs. The fact that none of these characters had any utility. They were all just pretty much made to look beautiful, look curvy, look wavy. They're all made with wavy lines, the little pink candy here. Again, we call it a unicorn parade.
Rachel Zegler is back. She returns to Broadway. That's right. A video has hit social media with Rachel Zegler at the Evita curtain call. And I think we really need to take a look at this, Alan.
Okay.
And then we will comment on it. It's a very short clip. Let's take a look. You see, surrounded by a bunch of naked men, it looks like.
Yeah, because
one guy
part of
practically
Evita.
naked.
I don't remember these men in Evita.
Yeah, this looks like a very gay version of Evita. Am I wrong? I mean, it is a Broadway play.
Well, yeah, it's Broadway, so.
She stays on to get the to herself there as she walks off stage. Wow, well, there you go, Alan. What are your thoughts?
I don't think she's learning the right lessons.
Oh my God! Now I realize I can't really see these comments. We can't show these comments. Good for her if it's making money. She's found her audience.
Yeah, she's found her community, and I'm happy for her about that. I'm not a part of that community, even though I like a lot of things coming out of that community. I am not part of it.
But I think that she would be more, her outspokenness on political issues would be more tolerated on Broadway, whereas Hollywood, I don't think she will ever be in a big budget Hollywood movie again. She may be in a smaller film, an indie film. I don't think any studio is taking a chance on her ever again, especially the way, after Snow White and West Side Story. I think she's done. She's done.
Yeah. And like I said, I think the reason she won't be back in Hollywood for a very long time is she's not learning the right lessons. She's just leaning into her activism, which I guess is good for her and the people she's around, but not for everyone else. And it would almost have been better had Snow White never come out. She then could have just said everything she said and then starred in Evita, and nobody would have cared, except the Broadway community, which falls right in line with her politics, which is great. Good for her. She's found her home. I mean, that's the best you can ask for a person.